There are images the human brain simply isn't wired to process. Not because they are violent, but because they lack a logical grammar. They exist in the uncanny valley between reality and a waking nightmare. January 2013. A young woman steps into an elevator in the heart of Los Angeles. She presses a button, and another, and several more, a coded sequence that leads nowhere. But the doors don't close. The elevator remains frozen, as if it's waiting for something or someone to finish stepping inside. Look closely. This isn't common fear. This is hypervigilance. What follows is what has kept investigators and internet sleuths awake for over a decade. ELISA steps out and begins to move her hands. Her fingers contort in the air, articulating a language that belongs to no known culture. She appears to be arguing with the void, or perhaps accepting an invitation from something the camera by design or by destiny is unable to capture. That was the last time the world saw ELISA LAM alive. 3 weeks later, the mystery of the elevator would transform into a visceral nightmare, discovered in the very water the hotel guests were drinking. To understand the end, we must rescue the person from behind the pixels. ELISA LAM wasn't just a ghost story. She was a daughter of Hong Kong immigrants, a student at the University of British Columbia with an inner world so vast that paper couldn't contain it. She suffered from what she called the persistent depression. On her Tumblr blog, Ether Fields, she poured out her soul. She wrote, "The idea of being a normal human being is something I've spent my life trying to achieve, but the more I try, the more I feel like..." And in early 2013, she decided she needed to breathe. She planned her West Coast tour: San Diego, Santa Cruz, Los Angeles. She arrived in LA on January 26th, alone, armed with a backpack full of books and the fragile optimism of awe. Someone looking to find themselves in a city designed to make you disappear. But she made a logistical error that would seal her fate. She booked a room at the Cecil Hotel, unaware that the building itself had a hunger for tragedies. The Cecil is not just a hotel. It is a monument to entropy. Built in 1924 for luxury, it eventually became the dumping ground for the broken souls of Skid Row. Its history is a catalog of horror. It was the home of Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, and Jack Unterweger. Its hallways have seen more suicides than official statistics dare to admit. Initially, ELISA was in a shared room, but the environment began to trigger something. Her roommates reported erratic behavior. ELISA reportedly left notes on their beds saying, "Go home," or "Lock the door." Staff moved her to a private room on the 5th floor. That afternoon, she called her parents. She said she'd see them soon. It was the last call. When ELISA failed to check out the next day, the silence became deafening. The LAPD searched the hotel with cadaver dogs, but they stopped at a barrier that, today, looks like criminal negligence: the roof. But what the police didn't know was that while they were searching the hallways, ELISA was already in a place where no one thought to look. Yet, when the police released the elevator footage weeks later, the internet exploded. But look closer at the grain. The video was edited. The timestamp is obscured a blurry smudge where numbers should be, and nearly a minute of footage is missing. What was the Cecil Hotel trying to erase? Elevators are machines of logic. If no one is blocking the sensor, they close. For nearly 2 minutes, the Cecil Hotel elevator remains open, defying its own programming. It only closes after ELISA walks away. It's as if the building itself was collaborating in her disappearance. And then, the coincidences began to bleed into the surreal. At the exact time of ELISA's disappearance, a tuberculosis outbreak hit Skid Row. The name of the specific test used by health officials? The Lam-ELISA test. A cruel coincidence? Or a glitch in the simulation? For many, the case stopped being a police matter and became a dark, cosmic puzzle. February 19th. Guests complain of low pressure and a foul, dark taste in the water. One guest described the water as black and oily. Maintenance worker Santiago Lopez climbs to the roof, bypasses the security alarms, which mysteriously remain silent, and reaches the 4 massive water tanks. There she was, floating face up, naked, her clothes at the bottom of the tank, the same clothes from the elevator video. The discovery presented an architectural impossibility. The tanks had no internal ladders. To get in, ELISA would have had to climb an external ladder, lift a heavy steel hatch, and jump into the pitch-black water. The LAPD initially reported the hatch was closed. If it was closed, the accidental drowning theory collapses. A person cannot jump into a tank and close a heavy lid from the outside while submerged in water. Later, the police corrected their statement, saying the hatch was open. A correction that felt like a desperate attempt to bury a case that was becoming too strange to manage. Was she alone? Or was someone, perhaps a hotel employee, who knew the alarms helping her? For a segment of the internet, ELISA's movements weren't the result of a breakdown. They were the steps of a ritual. The elevator game, a South Korean urban legend that claims if you press buttons in a sequence, the elevator takes you to the other world. On the 5th floor, the legend says a woman will enter. You must not look at her. If you do, she will take you as her own. ELISA's room was on the 5th floor. In the video, she is interacting with an invisible presence exactly at that level. Did she seek out the darkness? Or did the darkness find her in the labyrinthine halls of the Cecil? Science offers a somber explanation, an acute manic episode with psychosis. In this state, the world becomes an internal horror movie. ELISA wasn't running from a killer. She was fleeing the projections of her own mind. The roof was her sanctuary, and the water tank, her last attempt to hide from a world that had become too loud. But even this explanation leaves a void. How did she reach the roof without being caught by a single camera or alarm? In the absence of a monster, the world will create one. Human nature abhors a vacuum. We need a villain. We need a face to hate. Enter Pablo Vergara, known online as Morbid, a death metal musician who had stayed at the Cecil 1 year before ELISA's disappearance. Thousands of internet sleuths descended upon him. They didn't have evidence. They had vibes. They saw his dark music and decided he was the killer. They destroyed his career, hacked his accounts, and drove him to a suicide attempt. He was a man destroyed by a ghost, or rather, by the people who claimed to be seeking justice for that ghost. This is the hidden tragedy. It didn't just claim one life in a water tank. It turned thousands of people into a digital lynch mob. Sometimes, the collective mind of the internet is just as fractured and dangerous as the mind they were trying to analyze. We are obsessed with ELISA Lam because she represents our deepest fear, that we can be in a room full of people, under the glow of a security camera, in the middle of a massive city, and still be completely, utterly alone. ELISA Lam didn't find a ghost at the Cecil. She found a void. And when we look into that tank, the void looks back at us. The video still plays. The buttons are still pressed. And ELISA is still walking out of that frame, into a darkness we will never fully understand. Sleep well, and if you're staying in a hotel tonight, check the water before you drink. Subscribe and like for more stories that defy explanation. We want to know your thoughts. What case should be our next dissection? Drop your theory in the comments. Stay safe. Stay alive.